Good evening and welcome to Before the Ballot, an Assembly Town Hall Review, a production of Tobago Channel 5 and Tobago CivilNET. My name is Keena Macmillan. We are here this evening chatting with Secretary Terance Baynes, Assemblyman for Bethel, Grange, and Assistant Secretary in the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries, and Urban Development of THA. This evening, we will review the last 4 years of Secretary Baynes' term in the Assembly, and we will take your questions live. We have a studio audience, and we have viewers on Tobago Channel 5 and listeners on Pulse 89.5 FM. So the format is simple. I will first invite Secretary Baynes to summarize his performance over the last 4 years, and then have a discussion with him on questions about his tenure. And finally, we will take questions from the public here in studio and from those at home. You can submit your questions by WhatsApp message 681-1005 or calling 681-1005. You can also message on Facebook. My questions will be about 3 topics: his representation of the people, his secretarial work, and his role in good governance of Tobago. So let's get it started. Secretary Baynes, welcome. Welcome to Before the Ballot. We thank you for attending and agreeing to take the questions from the people. This series is aimed at helping speak directly to the representatives to understand Tobago's progress. Thank you for being one of the first assemblymen to accept our invitation. This is our 3rd episode, and we know that the public appreciates your bravery and commitment to good governance. We'd like to start by giving you 5 minutes to describe your performance over the last 4 years. Please give us a truthful and balanced overview of some of your accomplishments and challenges over this time.
First of all, let me just say good evening to our viewing audience and listening audience. And I want to thank CivilNET for affording us the opportunity to sit in this space and to discuss these matters that are pertinent to the Tobago landscape and our personal perspective in terms of governance and being involved in the politics of the space. When it comes to an assessment of what has occurred in the last 4 years, it is a question I am sure that some may be gun shy to answer, because there are several persons that adjudicate on your performance. But I think that I have been sincere in what was laid at my charge, and I applied all the skills and abilities that I had to those portfolios that were afforded me. And I would like to think that I gave it all that I had. The thing is that for most of us in the government, we are very new to the governance space, and we had to kind of learn on the job. Some of us had very little reference in the operation or how the public service works, and so we had to learn those things, and apply whatever skills we had. I'm saying all that to say that I think that my performance in the various spaces for the last 4 years has been sincere. I certainly gave it everything that I had, both mentally and physically. And I would like to think that the lives of those that I represent at the local level and also at the broader Tobago space has been impacted in a positive way. I don't know that we have the immediate indicators to say, how positive, In fact, there may be some that have an opposite view, but I think that all of us have kind of put our hands to the plow and have been very sincere in our work and trying to contribute to making Tobago this this beautiful and perhaps the most impressive little island on the planet.
Beautiful. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with representation of the people of your district.
Mm-hmm.
First question is, you were elected on a PDP platform
Mm-hmm.
and months later left the party.
Mm-hmm.
You and your colleagues then created a new party, the Tobago People's Party, TPP.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still consider your mandate the original PDP mandate for which you were elected, or something else?
Well, certainly the mandate has always been to contribute to the development of the island that we call Tobago on all levels. You know, the issue of representing people, you know, in any jurisdiction, a minuscule amount of individuals are afforded such a privilege. So while some may see it as something, you know, very glamorous, it is also very humbling, you know, and so one has to feel very, very privileged and just to be chosen to represent people. And of course the dynamics of representation, understanding in the simplest form what representation is all about. You know, people want to have, they have certain ambitions and they want to see those ambitions fulfilled, and they as a collective can't go in the space where their dreams and aspirations are fleshed out and so on. So they pick somebody that could represent that. And so that individual certainly has to be on the pulse of what the people who are your real boss, you know, what they sent you about, you know, and you have to be mindful of that all the time. It is a very humbling pastime, you know, and it's hard work, it's non-stop work. There are no hours that the work ends, because of course, you know, people have different needs at different times, different things occur, and you have to be willing and ready to step in, do what you can, and use whatever resource you have available to try and bring some support to the persons that you represent.
Okay, and in saying that, you're saying we have something else, or we still a continuation of the mandate?
Oh, you mean in terms of the mandate?
Yeah.
The mandate is the same, as I said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I am sure that we have begun to optimize the mandate, but the mandate has always been the reason. What we sold to the public was, this is a group of people that can bring a different type of governance philosophy to their benefit. You know, this is a group that will try and build a thing from the ground up and impact individual lives and families and communities and so on. You understand? And I think that philosophy remains. We fine tune as we go along. We expand and that kind of thing, so that we can have the governance architecture that we are working on is one that we are trying to carve out that is idealistic to the Tobago space, you know. So it's not something that will fit Trinidad or Grenada, or, you know, you understand. It is something that represents the ideals and the aspirations of the people of Tobago. That's what we're trying to get done.
Understood. Because, you know, they will say, how can the people trust that those whom they elect were actually trying to implement the mandate upon which they were elected?
Yeah.
So we would say about that, because persons will be like, oh, they probably change it out.
Yeah.
And what
well, I mean, you always have a myriad of views. I mean, we are in a very dynamic environment. You know, we have the advent of social media and those kinds of things, where people's outlook and their philosophy on life and politics and governance, those things are impacted by several influences, you know. And the pastime is not, though the pastime itself is noble, you know, what else, when you see politics or politicians, it to some people that is almost a curse word, you know. And I always say the best way to appreciate politics and politicians is to imagine your country without it, because of the science of what it is, and I believe that is not really the game, is the players, obviously, and I wonder why, because in every vocation you can think about, you have the good, the bad, and the indifferent. And I wonder why, when you see politicians and lawyers and that kind of thing, that there is this kind of devilish stigma that people attach to it. But the work is noble work. It is noble work, and we would hope that the vocation attracts people that are noble. You understand? So that you get the best out of the vocation.
Okay, great. Thank you. Over the last 4 years, what would you say are the main achievements in your direct service to the people of your district? What tangible benefits in infrastructure, community facilities, or social services have come to your area under your representation?
Right. So Bethel New Grange is a dynamic district. We can almost say carefully that you have different classes of residents in the district, and so therefore the needs vary from segment to segment in the district. Our district includes St. Luke in the east, coming all the way down to New Providence and Sherwood Park and parts of Canby, and then Susselands, where you have middle class and upper middle class residents, and then of course you go all the way around Buku Road and you come back up to Bethel itself. And so you will find, because of the social orientation in the area, the needs may be different. Bethel is a place, village Bethel itself is where I grew up, and Bethel is one of those places, some may call it a hotspot. I like to call it a high needs community, and there are several of them around the country, both in Trinidad and Tobago. And so the attention that needs to be given to that, is different to the attention that you will need to give in Susselands and in Sherwood Park, for instance. And so one of the things that has always concerned me is the issue of desocialization in that part of the district, the issue of violence, the issue of drug use, the issue of lack of opportunities and motivation for young people to flesh out their skills and that kind of thing. The issue of self-worth. Those things really were high on my agenda, and so one of the first things that I did, and I think because we were just coming out from COVID as well, that has its own dynamics and impact that COVID had on districts that already have their own social challenges. You understand? So in my mind, I thought that there was a need for a kind of encouragement and reinforcement of person and self-worth, in and around that part of the district at the time. And I thought that part of the district needed more attention than the other areas. Okay. We, as I said earlier, we have the pension for flare-ups in violence and that kind of thing, and excessive drug use and those kind of things, which is not, and Bethel is not singular in that. You understand? And they've had historically a kind of bad name and stigma that has been attached to the community. So all those things I know from a while back. So we try to instill, some worth and encouragement. So we started doing some social things. We started, trying to consolidate the young people especially, and I brought in some well, I don't want to say prominent, but ambitious and advancing young people to just come and talk to the guys on the block especially, you know.
So in other words, you're more focused on the social services?
At that time, that was it, you know, and I had lost 2 friends to gun violence up on the block area, you know. And then some others were impacted by gun violence as well. But so those things were always important as to what we can do to perhaps provide other options for some of the young people. So in addition to those things, to doing those uplifting things to the persons, right? Of course, you know, job loss was a major thing at the time, so we have to see what employment we could find for. So we did best we could to try and find employment for a lot of the young people on the block and that kind of thing. I think to date, in the 4-year span, we've been able to find employment for about 270 plus people, right? And then I decided to go up and shoot a music video on the corner.
Yes, I remember that.
You know, all those things, because you see, you have to try and be as innovative as you can, you know, and the intent behind all of that is to say to the young men and young women that you are somebody that you have your own worth. You understand? This kind of stigma that we've had all these years, you don't have to. That have to be a life sentence. You understand? So we start doing that, and then now you find so in the wider district there were other needs. So the issue of looking for a project now that will be like a common denominator.
Mr. Baynes, I'm going to have to pause you there.
Okay.
We'll have to pause for a minute, so
Yes.
everyone will take a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Vodel Supermarket and Pharmacy. Almost everything, almost anything, almost anytime, almost every day. We in every season for every reason. Vodel Supermarket and Pharmacy. Almost everything you want from a pharmacy. Just ask for a pharmacist. Well, almost. We are here to serve all of you all of the time. Vodel Supermarket and Pharmacy. 141 Chauvin Road, Buku. Call our pharmacy on 6107634 or our supermarket on 7680723 and 7660476. Vodel Supermarket and Pharmacy.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
For 10 years, Pulse 89.5 FM has been the beat that moves Tobago. From the latest hits to the voices of the community, we bring the island's rhythm to life. Every day, every hour. Stay locked to Pulse 89.5 FM, the beat of Tobago. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram and stream us worldwide on the TuneIn app.
Welcome back, and you're watching Before the Ballot. I am Keena Macmillan, and we are here with Secretary Terance Baynes about his last 4 years in the THA. Remember, you could send your questions on the WhatsApp. You see the number on the screen, and you could also message on Facebook. So this is now the secretarial work in the THA. You have been given a few different roles in THA during your time, including Secretary of Community Development,
Yes.
Deputy Presiding Officer, and Assistant Secretary for Infrastructure. Can you give us your own overview of those various roles and what led to your transitions between them?
All right, so let me just correct there. I never served as the Deputy Presiding Officer.
Right.
I served for 2.5 years thereabout as the Secretary for Community Development, Youth Development and Sport, and then of course in the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development as an Assistant Secretary for the last year and thereabout, and a few months. So work and transition. You know, as I said in my opening statements, you know, whatever I put my hand to do, I try to do that with all my might. I remembered one of the American presidents said that his work and whether people deemed it to be successful or not has a lot to do with not just his mind, but minds that he borrowed. You know, so I tried my best to draw on as many persons that I could have to assist in some of the things that I really did not know. You know, as I said earlier, you know, for a lot of us it was on-the-job training, and we tried to navigate some of the social, the public service issues. You know, ignorance is a very expensive pastime, right? So I think that that may have been one of the bugbears, is not knowing. And when you don't know, then you know sometimes you waste a lot of time, you waste a lot of resource, and sometimes you waste a lot of emotional and mental power, right? But that albeit I did my work as I understood it and stuff, and then I was moved to the Division of Infrastructure and continued with the same philosophy. You know, in both places it was a learning exercise. You know, in how you execute your leadership skills, how they are manifested, how your ability to manage, you know, people and manage resource and those kinds of things, manage a division. So now I serve in the capacity as Assistant Secretary in the Division of Infrastructure, I said, with the direct responsibility of overseeing maintenance, which includes government infrastructure and that kind of thing, and the PR of the division, you know, and so there are several things that I think that we were able to accomplish in both places thus far. You know, we were able to, when we over in community development, we were in a time when we were trying to bring all the communities together to have them manage their centers and those kinds of things. There had been a drop-off for some years as well. And just before I left, we were able to get some 30 plus of the village councils up and running, and we did a particular policy to aid in the transfer of management power of those facilities and so on. We did some work, although it was not a very popular exercise, but we did some work with the CPEP program. You know, that was one of the social safety nets that we have in the system to try and treat with people that are the lowest level of the totem pole. And we try to improve their working conditions and their wages and that kind of thing to afford them some dignity in the workplace. We were able to do that. You know, and of course there are some programs that the division does all the time.
Yeah.
You understand?
So from that,
yes,
saying that we were secretary and then assistant secretary, some critics mentioned demotion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
How would you respond to that?
Well, I mean, a demotion is a demotion. You understand? There's no. You rather try to get around that.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I think it is how you, the individual, manage that. You understand? You are going to have all your personal challenges and your personal issues, but you have to manage that yourself. I think all of us knew that when we serve in the government at the behest of the chief secretary. The rules affords him the right to move people where he sees fit and that kind of thing. So, it's an adult environment, and while you are allowed to have emotions, they are not the singular thing that govern how you operate.
Yes.
So I think that I remain eternally grateful for the opportunity to serve in the government in whatever capacity I'm allowed to serve.
So then, as secretary now, as assistant secretary in the Division of Infrastructure, what accomplishments are you most proud of?
Well, one of the things that I jumped on immediately is the selling of the PR of the division, selling the work that has been done, because I felt that two things: one, that people did not have an appreciation for the work that was being done, a good enough appreciation, and the workers themselves needed some encouragement and some reinforcement and that kind of thing for the work that they do. So, of course, we started highlighting some of the units and stuff and doing some videos here and there, moving through the entire island, highlighting the work that was being done, the programs, and talking to some of the individuals, talking to some of the residents to get their feedback as to the impact of the work that we were doing and that kind of thing. And I believe that has helped and continues to help the morale of the workforce. It certainly is not a perfect place. There are lots of issues, in the public service, period. Some of those issues that have been there for eons, and there is no way, no matter how ambitious and no matter
So
how...
that brings me to the next question.
Yeah.
Being in the two roles,
Yeah.
what would you say is your biggest failure?
My biggest failure.
Yeah.
That is a very different, that is a kind of funny question, because, you see, for me to, I had to know that what I did, I failed at that. You see, if you're doing something and you're doing it to the best of your ability and you're doing it, you bring all your skills to bear on that. I don't know you could judge that as a failure. You understand? It may not meet the standards of others. You understand what I'm saying? But again, I am not the best judge of something like that. You understand? I will always, as I've said before, my sincerity is the way I approach my work. You understand? And I feel that counts for something.
Okay.
Well,
in that case, I wouldn't say failure. So what have you learned, I should say?
Well, I mean, it's just...
Point up two then.
Yeah, there are always things to learn. There are always things to learn. You learn about managing crisis. I look back now on some of the things that the decision that I may have made may have been just, but may have not been politically expedient. You understand? And I think that has to do with a lack of experience, because there are some things that has political currency. It's not necessarily a right and wrong issue. It has political currency. So even if you're right, if I could draw a Bible reference, they say that all things are lawful, but all things are not expedient, or all things are not necessary. It may not be beneficial. You understand? So I look back now, some of the decisions that I've made, some of the positions that I held, I think time has taught me that I could have and perhaps should have dealt with that a different way. But you see, you can't deal with something outside of where you are. You can't, where you are, your level of development, whatever you interface with, you will deal with it at that level. You understand? You can't, in other words, you can't operate as a A-class horse in a B-class race. You understand? And so I think you know, because you will always think that you are the best in a B-class race, and I'm using that to say you'll think that you're doing your best until you're exposed to an A-class environment.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So I think, and there where it's critical to always be prepared to learn.
Be preparing.
You understand?
So you were involved in a recent meeting with the National Ministry of Energy and THA officials, including the Studley Park Quarry visit.
Yes.
How effective was that meeting in securing commitments for letting Tobago control its quarry licensing and keeping royalties in Ireland?
I am shocked. I am surprised that you asked me this question. Secretary James was here. That is the perfect man to answer that question. And I'm not dodging or anything, but I think he's the best person to respond to that question. I think the issue of the conversation was always an important thing, as we were able to lay it out to the minister the gravity of that situation and the impact that could and should have and will have on the economy of Tobago and where we're trying to go as a people. So while we may not have seen any initial movement on the conversations that we have had, but it is a conversation that we certainly will continue to keep alive because of how critical it is to where we're trying to go. You know, and I'm saying this is my fringe response. Secretary James is the best mind to respond to that in detail.
In detail,
yes.
Okay. As Assistant Secretary for Infrastructure, how have you ensured that quarries, roadworks, and development projects adhere to environmental and social impact safeguards, especially in sensitive or residential areas? I mean, you are an assistant, so you can...
Yeah, well, I'll give you an assistant answer.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that state agencies really has their role to play, right? And that's what they are, state agencies. I think what we see sometimes, you know, is sometimes a kind of shall I say, agencies trying to stop the progress of government when really we are trying to accomplish the same thing. You understand? And I don't know why that is so. If the environment is designed that way and all of that. I am new to that, but I think that all of us have agreed that we need to work more to be in concourse with what we're trying to achieve. You understand? Without you know, operating in silos. You understand? Because the agency, whether it be EMA or whichever agency, they have their role to play and contribute to the kind of society that we're trying to build. Right? So we're trying to build this novel Tobago. It means that we have to start by building the greatest little island that we want to build. We have to try to have the greatest little government, first of all. We have to have try and work towards having the greatest relationship with the state agencies. You know, they're not perfect. The relationship are not perfect, but you can't not be in a mode of progress. Right? We have to find a way to do both things. We have to multitask. So in other words, we can't not do work for 5 years or 2-3 years waiting on an approval for something. Right. You understand what I'm saying? We can't. That's that. And I think that may be one of the one of the challenges of some of the systems that we have in place, and we have to find a way, and I think that we are able to. We have to continue to work at it. We're trying to achieve something that will benefit all of us. I don't know that we have set out to make the work harder for each other. You understand what I'm saying? So that is my response to that question.
Okay then. So we are going to take another break, a short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Bethel Supermarket Pharmacy. Almost everything, almost anything, almost anytime, almost every day. We in every season for every reason. Bethel Supermarket and Pharmacy. Almost everything you want from a pharmacy. Just ask our pharmacist. Well, almost. We are here to serve all of you all of the time. Bethel Supermarket and Pharmacy. 141 Chauvin Road, Buku. Call our pharmacy on 610-7634 or our supermarket on 768-0723 and 766-0476. Bethel Supermarket and Pharmacy.
Escape to elegance at Le Chateau Suites Tobago. Gated privacy, breathtaking villas, unforgettable memories, where Caribbean dreams become reality.
Rise and shine in the morning is just part of my day.
From 6:30 to 8:30 every day. Foreign man says so.
It informs me of what happens in Tobago.
I find it to be so informative. Every aspect of Tobago affairs is being discussed there. So I will continue to look at Rise and Shine. That's my thing.
Monday to Friday, 6:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m.
I love Rise and Shine.
Have you visited Tobago Channel 5's Facebook or Instagram pages lately? Well, check them out now for all the interviews and up-to-date news. Remember to like, share and follow for Tobago news and current affairs information at your fingertips.
Welcome back. I am Keena Macmillan and we are watching Before the Ballot, an Assembly Townhall, and we're here chatting with Secretary Terance Baynes about his 4 years in THA. Now we're going to ask some questions from WhatsApp. So the question is, in your mandate, there were some interesting things you mentioned as it pertains to your constituency. Can you state which ones were achieved?
Well, I mean, all the things that I set out to do in that term, except maybe one, we didn't get to. So, as I spoke about some of the social things that we did, I was getting to the conversation where we were trying to find a project that will kind of be like an equalizer for the entire community. Mm-hmm. And so, the walk-around track that we did is that was a project that we know that everybody, however you classify yourself, will take advantage of that. The sporting facilities down there, the grounds, and we are very thankful for the work of the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport, the rehabilitation of the basketball court and netball court and those kinds of things, and the work that they do in the football grounds and the facilities there. That is one of the most used facility in this part of the island. So that particular project, I should have mentioned that one of the first physical projects that we did was lighting of the Social Lands Park or the green space area. There are some people who live to the east of the park who spoke to me about the dark area and that kind of stuff. And then there was another resident who had expressed that his father was robbed in So we set out to do this project, and we got volunteers to put up some lighting in the park, that kind of thing. Unfortunately, though, the lights went missing after a while. We had about 8 lights up, and then about 6 of them were taken down, and that kind of thing. And so we are now at the place where we're trying to persuade the cooperative to partner with us to put in some toilet facilities in the space, and put in a kind of little bandstand thing, so we could have some more live activities. People go there and take pictures and stuff. So we want to do that to enhance the space, and I'm sure that would be something that will be beneficial for the community. I mean, employment, as I said earlier, is a big thing. You know, there was a housing project, and I think it's still in the cards from what I've been hearing from settlements, that was to take place in that Canby area, Canby Rising area, that would have afforded housing to some of the residents in the area and some employment as well during the construction phase, part of the project and stuff like that. That has not started. That's not under our purview, you know. And I know for a fact that settlements are the partners. There were some challenges with them, but the project is still to be done at some point.
Well, we have a next question. People of the constituency will remember you had promised a micro mall of business owners. Could you explain the status on that?
I promised a micro mall. I mean, I know I am older, but I sincerely can't remember ever making a promise like that. But that's not a bad idea. You understand? So you know, that certainly is not a bad idea. And sincerely, I cannot remember promising that. And
Okay.
one of the things that I made it my business to do, even when I talk to people, is never to make any promise that I think was unrealistic and unachievable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so unfortunately, I really
Understood. No problem. So we're going to go into role in good governance. What is your definition of good governance? Can you give an example of what you did that can consider good governance?
It's a very interesting question. Well, I mean, if I could probably try and simplify, and this is a Terance Baynes definition, that you're in a space and you meaning the legislators and the leaders, those who are walking the corridors of power at the time. You have to, first of all, be on the pulse of what's happening in this space. There are some basic things that every government needs to provide for its people: infrastructure, utilities, those kinds of things, security, those kinds of things. Beyond that, though, because that will be a normal society that you're building. If you want to do something as we are doing, you want to build this greatest little island on the planet, then you have to know, work within the rules and regulations that are in the space to build this thing. So you have to build the thing lawfully. That is the point I'm trying to make. Okay. Right? You have to build it lawfully. You have to follow the rules, right? Because rules are critical to building anything sustainable. You know, the law is for the lawless, right? So right? So I think that we have gone out of our way to try and to adhere to the rules that prevail in our quest in building this Tobago that we're trying to build. Me personally, I am as law-abiding as the next man, you know, and try my best, what I don't know, to ask questions about it, you know, so that you don't run afoul with the rules. You understand? And I think that the general definition of good governance is providing leadership that contributes to the holistic development of the people that you serve.
Beautiful, thank you. Yeah. Whenever a new party takes over the THA, public servants know that there will be a drop in whatever projects they had been working on the prior administration. This very often leads to a large waste of effort, people's time, money, and can be disempowering. What are your views on this? And how did you deal with the transition to the PDP to TPP when you entered as Secretary of Community Development?
Right. So the first question, I'm thinking that happens in a lot of space. I don't know that is endemic to us though. You know, I don't know that there's been a whole lot of infrastructural things taking place when we took office that we just abandoned. You know, I can't think about that, no. I think that there's certainly, because if you're going to build something, you have to find whatever is good in the foundation. You build on it. You certainly can't be starting from the ground up, you know. So we are building on whatever foundation is being laid. You know, if you're going to build, you will have to check the foundation. Obviously, you won't discard the foundation. But if there are some areas that need support, you try and fix that. So that's the first point. The issue about the transition from the PDP to is a philosophical position. Is a thing that required a political decision. You understand? I think there was a difference of opinion as it relates to how we're going to govern and build this Tobago that we want to build. You understand? I certainly interpreted it that way. That and there is no devilry in that. There is no devilry in that. I mean, you know, people think that legitimacy in a political organization is if you're there for forever and ever and ever in the same organization. I don't subscribe to that necessarily. If you are in a toxic environment, if you're in an environment that is not user friendly for where you're trying to go, right? And this is an example I'm using. If you in an environment as a collective that you're trying to go in a particular direction and you feel that this environment is going to significantly undermine or perhaps even destroy where you're trying to go, common sense will tell you that you need to move in another direction. And I think that's what all of us came to collectively. You understand? Notwithstanding that we were unceremoniously pushed out to it, so that we have to put that in the conversation.
Understood.
Yes.
So political division sometimes slows the decision making. What role did you play in building a collaboration across the assembly, in particular with members of the PNM and the PDP?
Well, I mean, I think every sensible government knows that the skills and abilities to build and to continue running a country does not reside in any one group, you know. So I think common sense tells you that. So you will hope that you do your work in such a way that you get buy-in from the people who are professionals in doing their job, while they are allowed to have their political points of view and who they support and all of that when that time comes. When it comes to the work, you know, you try your best to get people to do their work. And I believe that most people that do their work are professional in their work. You understand? When the election time comes around, we got a little banter in here and there, but when it comes to the work, I think that most people do their work.
Beautiful. So Tobago has ambitions towards greater self-government. Government. What did you do at ComDev or at infrastructure to contribute towards this?
Yeah, well, the whole idea of trying to put worth in our people, because that you had to start there. You had to start where people are feeling that they could actually do stuff themselves, and that is why, especially at the division of infrastructure, it was critical the work that I was doing in terms of the PR and talking and putting the thing on, that was the aim, to get the workers and the officers to, and also, while I say that, I must hasten to say as well, Secretary James's leadership is second to none where that is concerned, in terms of his rearrangement of the units in the division and empowering the people that had the skills to do work. You know, a significant amount of the work that we have done infrastructurally and so on were works that were done in-house. You understand? And it is because there was an identification of the skill sets that we had and trying to put the skill sets to use. Those things assist you in this autonomy that you're trying to build, because you need people who feel confident enough to say to themselves, we could build this thing ourselves, because nobody not building it for us.
Right.
Yeah.
So you and the former representative of Tobago West, Shamfa Kojo, had some tense exchanges after you blocked the central government from using facilities under your division without your permission in 2020.
Yeah.
Why did this situation happen?
Yeah, well,
and how did you try to ensure that the central government and THA work together in best interest?
Now, it's public knowledge that, you know, the former MP for Tobago West and I have crossed swords on several occasions. She has a particular approach to her politics, and it to me, I mean, one does not set out to be in an aggressive type of relationship. I think to the villain in the thing too could be the system to it. I suspect at some point we have to come to a place to have a conversation about the usefulness of that Tobago East and Tobago West constituency. At some point we're going to have that conversation if we're going to really have this autonomy that we're talking about. But albeit, anytime you have different governments in Trinidad and Tobago, there seems to be a penchant for that kind of conflict to arise. Particularly if, you know, with the ministers in Trinidad, if the government in Tobago is different, if the politicians in Tobago are different, of different political persuasion. Because I think that the work should be collaborative work, you know, that there should be mutual respect back and forth. You know, I don't know that we have been, as a THA, as THA officials, disrespectful to ministers in Trinidad. I don't know that that is in our history. But we have constantly ministers, particularly when they were not, when they didn't have the same political persuasion in Tobago, that has no respect whatsoever for the officials that are elected and have these things under their purview. Plus, the rules suggest that they have authority over the space. So what really is supposed to take place, in my humble view, is a collaboration. And I want to say this. While I was at the Division of Community Development, Mr. Foster Cummins was the Minister of Youth and I think National Service, I think that's what the ministry was called. And there was not one day, not one time that there was any animosity or any. Why? Because this was a man, while he was running that understood the issue of collaboration. You understand? We had mutual respect. There were things that they were doing that could have benefited Tobago. We had a conversation over it, you know, and a perfect relationship. You understand? However, so you raised the issue that didn't obtain with Ms. Kojo. Ms. Kojo she had a different perspective. She's a very shrewd politician, you know, and so that particular incident is a long story which I fleshed out in the media houses at the time. I was abroad when the thing actually happened, and I think part of it was just anger to it, you know.
We have a next question from WhatsApp.
Yeah, part of it was anger, and as I was saying earlier, there are some things that you learn, experience teaches you. That
We have another question from WhatsApp.
Yeah, well,
good night. I would like to ask Pastor this question. When better roads will be fixed, for example, Cashew Hill, just before the garage, there are 2 big potholes on the both sides of the road.
Yes. Right.
It's turning into a swimming pool when rain falls.
Yeah. Well, you know, we did a considerable amount of road works in the Bethel area in April this year, right? A lot of the holes that you see were some of them holes because of WASA's work, right? We have aging road infrastructure in Tobago across the board, right? And remember, while I'm at the Division of Infrastructure, I am sure it is expected because we did in 2020, right? In 2020, $82 million worth of road works was done in Bethel. You understand what I'm saying, right? So, and then since I took office, we've constantly tried to do whatever maintenance work we could do. So while I understand that the residents of Bethel will say, man, you in works, we should get all our holes, but my responsibility is not just to my area, but to the entire island. There are some places on the island that did not get the kind of attention that Bethel New Grange had. You understand? So we have to try our best to facilitate, work and to do work rather across the island. So I understand the issue, and I have seen the potholes because I passed there, and I am surprised that somebody, but like I said, there are places in Bethel that we paved and patched in April, and today there are some huge holes, and those things were done by WASA. You understand? And so we are now talking with WASA. Hopefully, let me say this here. This I'm sure this may help. Now, prior to us coming into office, there was an arrangement with WASA and the former government of the THA, right? Where WASA will provide some resource to the THA so that when it comes to actually fixing back the road, there will be resource. Because it's an expensive thing to fix. When you do the work that you're doing and WASA comes, and of course, we can't stop pipe bursting and all that. So WASA has to do its work. The issue is that when WASA does its work, WASA just throw the dirt back in the hole and leave it, right? So the residents now look at you, the area representative, and say, well, it have a hole here, but we just fixed that whole place. So we're hoping now that we could get back to that. I was making the point that when we came into office, that arrangement stopped. So we in fact, just last week, we having this renewed conversation to see if we could get back to that, where the resource would be made available to the division, because we have a challenge with resource at the division and all of that. So imagine what it costs us to fix here, and then it gets, they get up a couple days later or whatever, and we go back and fix it, and that happened across the island, right? So we're hoping that we could get some collaboration on that and some support to help us treat with that challenge. So yes, I am aware of the holes there in that they mention about, and will do my best to give that some attention.
Okay, then great, thank you. So we're going to take a short break again. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Need furniture and appliances for your home at affordable prices? It's time to visit JG's Furniture and Appliances Limited at their showroom at Smithfield No. 2 in Scarborough. There's more room to shop, more furniture and appliances, more brands to choose from, all at the same affordable price. Get everything you need to furnish your home, like stoves, fridges, washing machines, couches, dining sets. They even have swing chairs, school desks, chase lounges, sports sets, garden benches, day beds, and coffee tables. JG's is perfect for gift ideas for new and established homeowners. A wide variety of furniture and appliances. After 35 years, JG's is still Tobago's top choice for furniture and appliances. Visit their showrooms either at Orange Hill Road or Smithfield No. 2. JG's. Make your dream home come true.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tapago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tapago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO at 484-4746. Tapago, relax. We will get it to you. Tapago's at your service.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Welcome back. You're watching Before the Ballot, and we are here with Secretary Terance Baynes, and my name is Keena Macmillan. So because of the last question with the swimming pool, I want to talk about the constituency.
Okay.
So the constituents often look for their representative
Yes.
to be present and accessible.
Yes.
Can you share how you maintain that connection with your residents during your tenure, and how did you ensure the residents of your district had access to you and that their concerns reached the THA?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, we one of the ways, of course, is the office. My number is anybody who wants it gets it, and I answer my calls. If I don't answer, it's because I am involved in something. In fact, the going up to, and again, I guess it's because I know that is the high needs part of the constituency. I spend more time going up to Bethel and Egypt Junction and that kind of thing. You try to do basic things that you're expected to do in a constituency. You can't attend every funeral and every week, but you try your best to do what you can and where that is concerned. And I think we started just after the general election. I think in the election was April, so in the month of May actually we started just walking. What we doing, what we call touch base walk, walking the constituency and so on, and talking to the residents and see if there's whatever we could do to give them some support. But there are always going to be people who say that they don't see you, you know. So sometimes you pass, they're not home, you know. For whatever, but you would always have that. But you do your best, do the best you can. I think every area representative has these challenges.
Yeah. And how are you balancing from secretarial duties and being a representative?
Well, they're kind of one and the same. You understand? That's just the way it is, you know. I try to remain the Terance Baynes that everybody has always known. So who you would have known for the last decade or so is supposed to be the same man, you know. Some people say that they can't approach me, and you have all these different things. So we have some people who work in the office that are much more approachable. You understand? And that kind of thing to get their needs and their desires across. I suspect in all of us there's a blind spot. The Johari window teaches us that, and we try our best to be as available as we possibly can, mindful all the time that you're serving people. That is a very dynamic pastime. You try to be there in the different. There are some basic seasons and times where traditionally there are things that you do. Coming around the time school is going to be open, you try your best and see what support you could provide for parents for the back to school stuff. Christmas comes. It is exceedingly sinful and immoral to be a year representative and do have a Christmas party. Regardless.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you have another question on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Earlier, you spoke about impacting lives. Under your tenure as secretary, you fired over 35 persons, many of whom were well qualified academically for the positions they held. How do you think their lives have been impacted since then?
All right. So when it comes to that particular situation we're talking about, so my perspective on that is, you have a unit designed to facilitate people that are the lowest level on the totem pole. My assessment of the unit and the advice that I got was that the unit at the time was administratively overweight. Right? There were several cracks in the unit, right? And we looked at it and so on, and felt that the persons that the program is designed to help are the persons that are least impacted by it. I mean, we had people working in CPF working for $70-something a day and those kinds of things. They had no kind of benefits. They had no sick leave and no maternity leave and those kinds of things. It was a kind of scenario, and social programs, if they're not set up properly, the social programs, the people in those programs can be taken advantage of, because oftentimes there are people who may not have a lot of intellectual qualifications and so on, right? And so the society should provide a kind of safety net thing like that, right? So in my assessment of the thing is that we had all these people who were in the program where you had, it needed about 24, was it? 24 persons. In other words, 24 persons to run the unit, and we had what? 30 high up. You understand? Or perhaps even more than that. Because part of the challenge in some of those social programs are used sometimes by governments to just pack with employment. You understand? So here you are, you're trying to optimize the thing. You're trying to let the people that the program is designed to help be the beneficiaries of the program affords. And so the hard decision I took was, let us focus the resource, optimize the program, give the people that the program was designed to help, give them the opportunity to develop and provide them with the dignity in the workplace, which is what we did. And we are not singular in that. That happens all the time. But it Every time a new government comes, it is a major talking point. So people go and they talk about all the persons that have been affected and so on. But nobody talks about the abuse and the kind of conditions that the people who were subject to all kinds of evil because they didn't have these benefits and protections from the program. You understand? So, I mean, it's nobody likes to.
So nothing was in place for them after.
Well, we most of the persons who had the qualifications got back in the program. You understand? That is not a side of the story that is being told, unfortunately. You know, it is a more juicy headline to see they fire 50-something people, and the numbers always seem to keep buffinated all the time. You know, I can't remember how much it is now, but I certainly am proud of the work that we have done to facilitate the people that the program was designed to help. You understand? And they are always, you don't set out to do it maliciously, but every time you have a change of government, you have stuff like that happens, because there are some things that you have to take the bull by its horns to get the thing to work.
Yes. So the THA faced political transitions as party changes during this term. This caused disruption in its work for the people. How should the public interpret this very public transition of you and your team from one political party to the other?
Well, I don't think that was a problem. I don't think that there is any evidence that there was any issue with the transition. Mm-hmm. I mean, save there may have been political commentary here and there, but in terms of the actual working of the government, that I don't think that was affected at all.
Because some voters feel that shifting party affiliation can raise questions about loyalty or principle. Mm-hmm. How do you respond to constituents who ask why you changed parties from Tobago's Forward to PDP and now TPP?
Well, I mean, loyalty is a thing that people use loosely. And you have to decide how loyal you're going to be. Mm. Would you be Jim Jones type loyalty? And I just use that crudely because you have to make a decision whether or not this environment that you're in, this that you're signed on to, this is what you're signed on to. Mm-hmm. You understand? So at some point you'd have to make a decision. And what drives that decision is the overall mandate and your commitment to the people that you are representing. You want the best for them. Yes. You understand? And so those questions would always arise. You would always have people who feel that where you start with, you should be there forever and ever. Anybody that does that in this life, if you do not change when change is required, nobody remembers you. You understand? So.
And how do you ensure knowledge and learning already existing in the THA when you entered were accessible for your term in office and not lost due to political tension?
Well, I mean, again, you know, I don't think that those things have been affected. Okay. You know, because the THA is a creature. There are some things that happen in the THA. You are the official. You are just the overseer of the thing. You are the overseer of the thing. But those things continue. The programs that are in the various divisions for people's edification and empowerment, and those programs continue. You know, regardless of who is in the chair. You know, but I do not think at all that the political differences impacted those things in any significant way.
Okay, beautiful. So I want to ask you, Tobagonians look back in 10 years. What legacy would you want them to remember from your service as Assemblyman and Assistant Secretary?
Yeah. Well, I think I will just simply want people along the continuum of representatives that they may have had over the years, that they could say Baynes did this and Baynes did that, truthfully. And I'm good with that. You understand? I am by no means the savior of Bethel New Grange. You know, the representatives that have gone before me have made their contributions and so on. You know, this is just a season for me, and I have to do the best for the season that I'm in until my shelf life expires. You know.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a short break again. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Bethel Supermarket and Pharmacy. Almost everything, almost anything, almost anytime, almost every day. We in every season for every reason. Bethel Supermarket and Pharmacy. Almost everything you want from a pharmacy. Just ask our pharmacist. Well, almost. We are here to serve all of you all of the time. Bethel Supermarket and Pharmacy. 141 Chevron Road, Buku. Call our pharmacy on 610-7634 or our supermarket on 768-0723 and 766-0476. Bethel Supermarket and Pharmacy.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
For 10 years, Pulse 89.5 FM has been the beat that moves Tobago. From the latest hits to the voices of the community, we bring the island's rhythm to life. Every day, every hour. Stay locked to Pulse 89.5 FM, the beat of Tobago. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram and stream us worldwide on the TuneIn app.
And we're back with Before the Ballot. We have a question again. So the question is, it seems like Tobago being able to fully feed itself is a very complicated problem that is far from solved. Do you think that it's likely within even 10 years? And if so, what would it really take?
Well, I mean, I know one cannot speak extensively about the work that is done in the division of food security and all of that. I know that the secretary is a hard worker and always has some program, some plan to encourage and to facilitate farmers and farming, and there's always something happening. Whether or not I can't speak about the success story, I can't speak about timelines and all those kinds of things. You know, I'm not sufficiently informed about that. But it is a concern for all of us, and we are in the season of World Food Day will be coming in a few days from now, and I'm sure we're going to hear some of the challenges that are taking place globally as it relates to jurisdictions feeding themselves and so on. We know that the food bill is always a bugbear for jurisdictions. But I think that work has been done, you know, whether or not we've been able to inspire a large enough percentage of the population to engage in farming that will get us to the place that we need to get to within a reasonable timeline, I can't see. You know, but I know that I'm seeing activity that suggests to me that people, the message is getting to persons. You know, the message is getting to people, and hopefully, we continue to come up with some robust programs to get us to that place.
Well, you have another question again. As you held sports and community development, how did you use these attributes you attained to help the sporting and community groups in the constituency?
Right. Now, my approach, because remember I had an assistant secretary at the time, Mr. Wayne Clark, who is now the secretary of the division, and I interpreted the chief secretary's direction and directive. Mr. Clark was in charge of youth and sport affairs. I did not interfere with those things at all, notwithstanding that he certainly was more skilled in those things than I was. And I know that he did as much as he could and continues to do. They're doing a lot of work now because we all have in agreement that sport is one of the tools that we have to use to try and help build the society that we're trying to build and give our young people some options, some other options, I should say. So to answer the question, I think that under Mr. Clark's leadership, that we were able to do as much as we can at the time, and I see that much more has been done as he's at the helm at this particular point in time.
Okay, then. Now we have a question from our live audience.
Okay, let me say a pleasant good evening, Assemblyman Terance Baynes. You know, as we on this program, before that, I would have heard the word ballot, in that we're speaking about election. So we know that there will be an election in the air very soon. My question is that, do you have any desire of offering yourself back as a prospective candidate for the electoral district of Bethel, New Grange? And if being successful,
Yes.
what will you do differently from this time around?
Right. Well, the answer is yes. To the first part of the question, and knowledge, like I said, knowledge is power. You know, there are some areas and some issues in the constituency that are stubborn, and we'll have to keep at that. And hopefully I'll be able to have a little more structured approach to managing what we do at the district level and wherever else I may be afforded, if that is the reality. You know, the couple other projects I would like to see implemented, especially that one in the green space. I think that will add tremendous value to the community, you know, and we have to work on more gainful employment in and around the district. I have an idea for preaching a message of self-empowerment, that people could become, you know, work for themselves rather than depend on the government for their subsistence and that kind of thing and their support. So those are some of the things that I could think about off my head, you know. But certainly I would bring to bear all the things I have learned in the last 4 years. So we'll see. We'll see.
Wonderful. So, what are your biggest ongoing challenges facing your constituents that you believe still need an urgent attention?
Well, one of them has to be the front. One of the major ones would have to be employment. You know, employment particularly for the younger people. You know, and that is a major issue. As I said earlier, we were able to find employment for about, it has gone past 270, you know, in a district where, you know, that district has about 3,700 thereabout persons in that district, and there are still so many persons that need employment, and at that gainful employment as well, you know. we have to find a way, and that is why I'm thinking we have depended so much on the public, on the government for the place of work. While I do agree that we do not have a significant enough and a robust private sector where people can find employment as well, the culture of government work has blanketed the space, and so we find that even working in the private sector, whatever private sector we have, does not seem fashionable for a lot of people. And we have to find a way. We have to find a way to present options that are sustainable and perhaps palatable enough for people to want to get involved in. And I think that dimension really is working for yourself.
Looking back, how do you think your constituents will describe your visibility and accessibility as their representative?
But that's a tough question to answer. I would certainly like to think that I am as available as a representative could be. But there may be some people who may not feel that way. Mm-hmm. You understand? And I am as accessible and around as I can be, and then there are persons who figure that you should have come to the house, and that's a part of the thing, really. They don't want to hear about who you went by. They just want to know, they are concerned that you didn't come by them, and they make heavy weather of that. So that is part of it. That is one of the challenges.
Okay, great. Do we have comments from Facebook? Any comments? Okay then. So we are nearing the close of tonight's session. Before we close, we would like to invite Secretary Baynes to give any closing comments he may have around his last 4 years as Assemblyman. Mr. Baynes, do you wish to make any closing comments?
Well, I mean, I am eternally grateful for the opportunity to sit here with you and to ventilate some of these things, and my responses to those things, to the questions, as honest as those responses could be. I certainly, there are lots of things that I don't know. I like to ask questions when I don't know things. I have learned an enormous amount of things in the last 3 and plus years. This vocation is a useful one, but yet it is a humbling one. The wear and tear is something that we all have to manage. It requires an enormous amount of adulting, and so if you don't have a kind of rhinoceros kind of skin, like, you can. This is not a calling for you if you can't, because there is sometimes there's no real security of tenure in this job, really. You understand what I'm saying? You get the opportunity, you do the best that you could. You understand? If something adverse arises, you try and do what you can and hope that you recover from it. But generally, I am thankful. I think I got here by the providence of God. There is no question about that. It's not my intellectual nor political prowess at all. And I believe sincerely that God sets up and God takes down. So that is my philosophy in this whole thing, and I think that I have an opportunity now to make a contribution, and I'm trying my best to do that. When that time expires, then I will walk off into the sunset and be thankful that I had such opportunity.
Very good. And thank you. This brings us to the close of tonight. Before the ballot session, we'd like to thank Secretary Terance Baynes for agreeing to be interviewed tonight. You heard it from the horse's mouth, all the questions that you asked. And And thank you for taking the public's question. Thank you all for tuning in and sharing your questions. And the event was organized by Tobago Channel 5 in collaboration with Tobago CivilNET, a non-profit organization focused on Tobago's development. So you could visit us at www.tobagocivilnet.org. Thank you. I am your host, Keena Macmillan.